As some of you may know, I design 28 Lilac Lane embellishments for Buttons Galore and more, and I do some work for them as well, so I've got a bunch of fun little things. I also found a bottle of resin, epoxy resin, and I have some silicone molds. Put these all together, we've got a giftable, guys. So what I'm doing here, I'm just taking the mold and I am adding sequins, buttons, beads, rhinestones, whatever I want that fits in there will be just fine. And I've also, as you can see, got some little button molds there as well. So what I'm doing here is just kind of using, I like to use my little pick tool because I just think it's easier when I'm trying to flip rhinestones and things. But essentially I'm just placing different things in the different containers before I mix up my resin, because I want it to be ready to go for me. So then once I'm ready, I can just keep adding. So now I've got some periwinkle buttons and sequins and beads and things, and I'm just gonna add those in. And I can really mix it up. I can really fill it up as full as I want or not. I believe that I could also mix this with resin and then pour that resin in, but I haven't tried that method yet. I'm really just kind of experimenting with this. There, I'm turning it upside down and shaking it to move things around. I'm really just experimenting with this to figure out for me what is going to work. Now, I can tell you from my experience, the resin should be warm. If you are in a very cold environment, you'll want to put it like in a little tub of the bottles into a tub of warm water and let it warm up. I have noticed that now that the weather is warm, my success rate is much higher than back when it was super cold and the resin just was bubbling up a lot more and being a lot more of a pain in general. So you're just gonna keep, you see what I'm doing there? I'm just keep filling up with tiny things, with bigger things. Don't worry too much about the exact placement. The only thing you're gonna wanna keep in mind is anything against the bottom, anything against the sides on the inside is going to be seen from the inside. Anything on the top, anything on the outer edges is going to be seen from the outside. And that's just what you want to remember. And then you want to start adding your resin. Now you see me here using a heat tool. It's recommended once you've filled it with resin to use like a little kitchen torch. I just don't have one of those and I'm trying really hard to work with what I've got. And I found if I just use my heat tool just a tiny bit, right when I pour the resin, just to make sure, like if there's a bunch of bubbles and things, that they get out of there. And yes, I am using my little pick tool here to get in there, because you definitely don't want to touch the resin. But I'm using my pick tool there to kind of get in there and move the resin around and make sure that everything is filling up. You can see me, yeah, now I'm going around in the sides and really digging around to make sure. I want to avoid pockets. And I realize as I'm doing this, of course, that's how we realize things. I realized that for those, it might have been better if I had put some resin in and then added things and mixed the sequins and things with the resin, then poured it in. Anyhow, it's all a learning curve and it's all a lot of fun. Now what I am doing is pouring resin into my button mold. So I'm making 5 buttons here, and you only gonna need a little bit. It's not gonna take very much at all. And then once you've got that done, again, you can come back around. Now here's a different one because I realized I had way too much resin. So this one I filled up really full and then added my resin into there. There's really not a right or a wrong way here. It's just a matter of your preference. And this is really the one where I started to realize, next time I do this, I want to mix the sequins and the resin, then pour the whole mixture in. Anyhow, you set it aside once you're sure that it's full. Set it aside, let it dry, let the heat tool pop any bubbles if they rise up and aren't popping. And 24 hours later, you can pull things out. Now, the buttons are my absolute favorite. Look at those. Those are so much fun. I want to make a million of these buttons now. In fact, I ordered a different button mold just so I could make even more buttons. And then I'm also really liking how these turned out. This heart one especially, I'm really happy with it. Is it absolutely perfect? No. But it's really pretty, and I think it's going to do a really good job. Now here I'm showing you the process of, this is how you pull your out of the mold, how you pull your resin dish out of the mold. You're just going to just kind of turn it inside out, and it is reusable. But look at that one, isn't that cool? Look at that. Now this is where I notice in the bottom here, there's a few little like pock marks because of the beads and the resin didn't get underneath exactly properly. It's not a big deal. The next time I do a resin project, I can just pour a tiny bit in the bottom there and it'll fill it up and smooth it out. but it's so easy and so fun. The real key here is you're gonna have to have patience. You're gonna have to, I'm still figuring out what brand of resin I actually like, so you're gonna have to figure that out. And I will most definitely be sharing with you my favorites. I hope you've enjoyed this little giftable idea. I'm gonna go wrap these up and send them off.